In this video, you will see the solution to the practice exercise, Create Section Views. In this exercise, we must create a 2D section view through a building, and then we'll need to edit the visibility and graphic display of objects before editing the graphic display options of the view to help improve the presentation of the section. And then we must create a 3D section to match the line of the 2D section and then display this view in 3D. I have the exercise file, Create Section Views open, and this is the building that we will create the section through. We'll start by going to the Level 1 floor plan view, and then to create the section we'll go to the View ribbon tab, and from the Create panel here we'll click on the Section tool. And now we need to start at the top here and draw through the door that's just here and out the other side of the building, and then we can click to finish placing that section view. Looking at the project browser, we can see we have section 1 created. But before we open it, first we'll toggle the tile here so that it displays the same marker as the head. And then we'll click on the gaps in segment control here to create that gap, and then use the drag controls to drag the lines outside of the building so that they don't interfere with the plan at all. Now before we open the view, we'll rename it first, so let's right click over section 1 and choose rename. And we'll rename this as Key Section. And now we have that renamed, we'll open the view. And we can see we have that section going through the building now, through the door that we chose and also through the garage door here. So now we want to turn some of the objects off, and we'll start by turning the levels off. So I'll select one of these. And now from the right click menu, we can choose Hide in View, Category, and that will turn off all of the level markers in the view. We'll do the same with the section marker, so I'll select this. And this time from the right click menu, we can just choose to repeat the Hide Category command. So now we have those switched off. We want to override the display of the topo surface here. So if I select it, and I'll need to hover near the topo surface here and use the tab key on the keyboard to then select it. We can then right click, and this time we'll choose to override graphics in view by category. And as we're in section, we need to override the cut patterns here. So we'll change the foreground pattern to be a solid fill. And then we'll set the color, so we'll click where it says by material here, and we'll choose the light grey color and then click OK to assign that to the override. We'll click OK now to assign that to the view, and now we can see that the topography is shaded with a solid grey fill. We want to adjust the crop region so that it crops just beneath the foundations here, so I'll select this. Now using the drag control, we can just drag this up until it gets to the bottom of the foundations here. Now we have that cropped, we want to hide the crop region, so from the view control bar we'll click on the hide crop region toggle here, and that's now been switched off in the view. So having done that, we're ready to edit the graphic display options. So we'll go to the properties palette and click the edit button next to graphic display options. And in here we'll expand out the shadows panel first, and then select cast shadows, and then we'll expand out the lighting, and we'll set the shadows value in here to be 20. If I click apply on that, we can then see that we've turned those shadows on and we've made them a bit lighter so they're not so dominant in the view. Next we want to apply the depth cueing. This will mean that objects further away from the section line will start to fade out. So I'll close the lighting panel and expand the depth cueing panel. Then we'll select this to switch it on, and then we have the fade start end location, and we'll adjust the far value to be 30, and then we have the fade limit percentage here, and we'll adjust the dark value to be 15. And now we can click OK, and we can see now that the objects that are further away, so the shadows on the walls that are further away and the wall here in elevation, they've now faded to a lighter shade of grey, and it makes it easier for us to read the depth of the section here. So that completes creating the 2D section, and now we want to create the 3D section. So first we'll go to the project browser, and then we'll right click over the default 3D view here, and then we'll choose duplicate view and duplicate. Now, having got that view created, we'll rename it. So in the project browser, let's right click over 3D copy 1 and choose rename, and we'll rename this as 3D section. And now we have that named, we'll create the section, and to do this we'll go to the view cube, and then we'll right click over this, and from the menu here we'll choose orient to view, sections, and then key section, which is the 2D section that we just created. We can see the model spin around and the section box has been enabled, so we can see that in the properties here. And zooming in closer, we can see that that is at the same location and giving us the same section as the 2D view. So now we just want to orbit this around to show this in 3D. So to do that, I'll enable the navigation wheel here. And then we have the orbit tool, so let's hold the mouse button down over orbit, and then we can rotate this around. And then we'll just pan it across to the center of the screen and zoom out a little bit. And then we can close the navigation wheel down, and that completes creating a 3D section that's in the same line as the 2D section and completes the exercise.